Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. It's time to grab your favourite serving bowl for pasta because we're back with a pasta dish. Today, we are cooking penne in a creamy mushroom sauce. Here's what we need. This will serve four. However, I'm going to do my trick where I don't use this amount of penne. I'm going to use the whole packet, which is an extra 150 grams, because I hate having 150 grams sitting in the cupboard unnecessarily, because I've got so many different pastas in like small bags. So what I do with this one, because this will freeze good, is I'll just use the extra bit. So as mentioned, grab your favorite pasta serving bowl. That one's the perfect size for this large recipe. You will also need a pot of boiling water with some salt in it. That's obviously to cook the pasta in. And you will need a fairly large frying pan with a stirring stick. That's to cook everything else in. Come on in. I'm going to show you the ingredients. Alrighty, so I'm going to set our precious pasta dish aside, just over here. So I've been chopping and measuring and everything as I do. First of all, we need 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 6 shallots sliced. Now, I've had car problems. I still have car problems. So rather than getting my veggie delivery, I got it while I was down at my gym. So there was a packet with 2 very large shallots in it. That's what 2 very large shallots look like. So I'm using this rather than 6 because sometimes when I get them, they are so thin. These were that big, so they're awesome. So I'm using 2 for the price of 6. Cool. Also, we need 450 grams of sliced mushrooms. Once again, this was 478 grams. I ended up buying these as 2 little packets, which weren't very little, obviously. One was, I think, 250 grams and the other one was 200 and something grams, but put together perfectly, sliced up. That's my mushrooms. Cool. Salt and pepper. Yay, they get a mention. 1 teaspoon of flour. That's plain flour. 150 mils of double cream. That's the thickest cream. 2 tablespoons of port. Now, I do have port. Many years ago, a customer gave me, every Christmas used to give us a bottle of port with their logo on it. This is the second last bottle, and it is a really nice drop as well. So if you want to have something nice with this, I'd suggest you have a small glass of port. 115 grams of sun-dried tomatoes in oil, drained and chopped. Now, the good thing about these is they are already chopped, so don't need to go too far to worry about that. We need a pinch of nutmeg. Now, I've never brought fresh nutmeg. I just use the dried one, so I'm just using that. 350 grams of dried penne. As mentioned, they always come in a 500 gram packet. I'm just using all of that. And to garnish on the top, 2 tablespoons of chopped flat leaf parsley. Didn't I have fun chopping that up? That was a whole bunch. Well, that's not a whole bunch there. I got a whole bunch because I've got none in the freezer, which is good. I'm happy when I've got none in the freezer. That means that it's time to buy new. And I've got to replenish what's on the windowsill because it's dead. So I chopped it all up. I've popped it in the freezer. So next time I need it, all I got to do is go and measure out however many tablespoons or teaspoons or whatever I need. Anyway, it's really straightforward, this one. So in the background, it sounds like something exciting, but it's not. It's just a pot of salted water boiling. We're going to get this ready to go in, and then we're going to start on the sauce. So let's get this ready to go. Penne. You can do 350 grams if you wish, but as I said, you're going to end up with 150 grams left over. Then the next time you need to do something, you're going to buy another packet, and then you're going to have 300 grams left over, and it's just going to become an ongoing saga. So choose a whole packet. But if you've got some kicking around in the cupboard and you want to use up that, or if you can make a mixture, you don't have to put just penne in. Sometimes I think I did a pasta bacon. I used 2 or 3 different pastas in it. It's perfectly fine. No one really cares. They're going to eat it and it's going to taste awesome because you made it. All right, let's go. Pot of water's bubbling and it's ready for it. So let's go. That should take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook. You want it, well, according to this, it says it cooks in 12 minutes. You want it al dente, which is apparently means to the bite. In our frying pan at the front, we are going to add our butter and our oil. So let's get cranking with that. I'll use this front one here so that I'm sort of diagonal, and you may get to actually see some excitement. Not really, but it sounds better. All right, in goes our olive oil. I'm running low on olive oil, and I think olive oil is scarce and expensive again. Everything's expensive, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about cooking. 4 tablespoons of butter. All right, melt that around. Let's grab our first ingredient, which is our 6 sliced shallots, or in my case, 2 big ones. Woohoo, in they go. I don't normally use the fancy ends of them, but today I've actually kept them in just to give me a bit more shallottiness. Is that a word? Well, it is now. It is today. All right. So we're going to cook this for a few minutes before we add the mushrooms, and there is a lot of mushrooms, so I'm just hoping this frying pan is big enough for everything. It should be. Anyway, mushrooms break down to nothing, so we should be fine. All right, so keep the pasta going. You can give it a stir every now and again. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes for the pasta. I generally know when it's done because I've been cooking for so long. There we go. I thought my timer was stuffed. But if you haven't been cooking for very long, you might want to just put a timer on. But you'll actually start to know when it's done because it does swell up. So there you go. All right, so we're going here. So we want to cook these for about 3 minutes, just giving them a stir every now and again. The main thing is to get that pan really hot. Just turning the shallots down to a lower heat because I don't really want to burn them. We just want to make them golden. Pasta's bubbling away beautifully. Just give it a stir every now and again. Look at us multitasking right here. So when cooking things like this, you're best to get your ingredients list, read through everything. Make sure you've got everything ready because the preparation takes the longest. But while you're cooking, you really don't want to be, oh, my water's ready. I haven't even got my pasta out of the cupboard sort of thing. Or my shallots are ready for the mushrooms and your mushrooms aren't cut up. So you got to be a little bit prepared. So preparation is the big factor when cooking. All right. I'm ready to put in the mushrooms, so let's go. Might have to do a few at a time, actually. And I was almost going to get the wok out, only because it's deeper. But we should be fine, though. Just want to have a bit of room to move everything around, I guess, is the key. Because there's not much, the cream is not much, so there's not much else to go in here. So put them in a little bit at a time if you wish. And then just give them a really good stir. Once they sweat, they do shrink down to nothing. But they're very tasty though. And now we was actually, I'm just going to tell you, we was supposed to be using a different mushroom. And it is called a chestnut mushroom. Now, I've never heard of a chestnut mushroom. I'm guessing it's a Italian mushroom because this is an Italian cookbook. And I just, whenever I don't know what an ingredient is, this is the beauty of Google now. Back when I first started cooking, I had to go and ask people, what is a chestnut mushroom? Blah, blah, blah. If I can't get it, what can I use instead? So I asked Google and it said, use button mushrooms. I thought, well, shit, I use those nearly every time I cook. I use button mushrooms because they're just so easy to get. And when something's easy to get, it's not as expensive. I mean, mushrooms are expensive, but it's not as expensive as some of these fancy ingredients that you sometimes need. And considering I brought these mushrooms on special, I paid $5 for 460 grams of mushrooms. And then, I don't know, they're normally like $10 or something a kilo. I don't really... See, this is the thing, because I get these delivered, I've got no real idea of how much certain things are, because I just say, can you please deliver it for me? The bill comes in and I pay for it. So I can sort of work it from that way. But I went in and I brought this. I brought stuff for 3 other dishes. I brought some apples and some other snacks as well. So that came to $22, which probably doesn't mean much to you guys. But that's pretty good, considering the mushroom is the star ingredient of this. And the next recipe, spoiler alert, the star ingredient is pumpkin. I was nearly going to say pineapple. Pumpkin. So that just gives you a little bit of an indication. So I did pretty good, I think. So it's not too overpriced. And a lot of times it does actually help if you get stuff that's in season as well. All right. So we've added the mushrooms. We're going to add our salt and pepper. Now, as I always say with salt and pepper, use as much or as little as you like. Some people like crap tons of salt. I don't, but I like some salt in it. And pepper, I love black pepper. So I'm quite happy to have a lot of black pepper in there. And you probably all heard me say that over and over again. So there you go. You know before me, don't you? I love black pepper on stuff. All right. It's a good way to season things without adding a lot of salt. See? I told you it would all fit. Look at that. Our pasta's going really good. You can see it's starting to plump up a little bit. Well, you can't really, but there it is. It's absorbing all the water, which is what it's supposed to do. Okay. Once we've seasoned that, we're going to sprinkle in the flour. And we're going to cook it for another minute. So let's roll with that. I use these little egg cups, in case you're wondering. Yes, that is an egg cup. I think they're fantastic for when I need to measure out little ingredients. And it saves me wasting a whole bowl for one ingredient, like that size there. So these are great, these bowls. I recommend that if you're cooking, you get those. Things that have oil, I generally, and butter, which I did put butter in one of those, I know. I generally recommend that you use something that's glass or ceramic, because then you don't get that oily film in it. I did that. I did put the sun-dried tomatoes in something because they are oily as hell. But I didn't put the butter in one. But the butter sort of was just sitting on the top, so to speak. We're going to remove the pan from heat and gradually stir in the cream and the port. So, to remove it from heat, just slide it over. Need a spoon. I'm here going, I'll be right, but I do need a spoon. Alright. Yum. My buzzer's gone off for the pasta, but I'm not in that much of a hurry for it just yet. Now I do have some cream still in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to deglaze it with the pot. I don't think it'll make much difference. There we go. We're just going to stir that around. We'll get the final bits out, or some of. Okay. Didn't really do what I said I was going to do, but it's all good. Okay, that's gone. Bye-bye. Actually, just a little bit on there. All right, let's go. Stir it. And then pop it back onto the heat. So this is giving us obviously our creaminess. So we're going to turn it right down to 1 now. Oh, look at that. Yum. How's our pasta? I'm going to turn the pasta off. Without looking at it, I can see that's done. But I want to keep it warm, so I'll leave it in there. Just while I'm focusing on the sauce for the moment. So get all those mushrooms in. Get them covered. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Now, the fact that we're using a thick cream and we're using flour means that is going to thicken up. Remove the heat, return to the heat, add the sun-dried tomatoes and the nutmeg and cook over low heat, stirring occasionally for 8 minutes. Woo. In go our sun-dried tomatoes. They're so messy, but they're good. All right, pop your timer back on for 8 minutes. This is why I said to just leave your pasta on the hot plate, but turn it off, because 8 minutes is a long time. And you want everything to sort of go together, ideally. I mean, you can. So we're going to turn this up just a little bit. Now, I don't want to really overcook this because cream can possibly curdle, especially since we've got other stuff in it. Now, our pinch of nutmeg, as I said, I got ground nutmeg with a broken lid that's been broken for ages. Just going to sprinkle that over the top. Whoops, that's way too much, but I don't care. Stir that in. All right. I will see you in 8 minutes. We're going to have a colander ready to serve up the pasta. Okay, our buzzer's gone. So that means we're ready. I'm just getting a colander, aka pasta strainer. I'm just going to bring the pasta over to the sink and I will meet you over the other side of my kitchen and we're going to get this pasta ready to serve. Okay, here we are back with our friend the pasta and I've just drained it. Turn off all my hot plates. All right, so once I've drained it, it goes in our bowl. Just got the rest of it to drain. Carefully. Beautiful. All right, let's get the rest of it in. All right, it's in. Lovely. All right, bring over our saucepan. It's a frying pan, I knew that. Alright, in that goes. Now, you probably got two ways of dishing this up. You can either dish it up as put your pasta on your plates and then put that on top, or you can do it the way I'm doing it, which is just basically all in here. Grab your pasta stirring spoon and give it a good old stir. Now, it does say to drain the pasta and add it to the sauce. Well, I'm doing mine ass backwards, sorry. Alright, sprinkle with the parsley and serve immediately. Alright, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. This has been penne in a creamy mushroom sauce. I'll catch you on the next adventure. Don't forget to hit subscribe because you never know when I'm going to drop an episode. Bye!